They said, don't do carnivore. You're going to have a heart attack. You're going to get heart disease. You're going to have all kinds of problems. The reality, though, is I fixed all kinds of problems. And this is probably the best endorsement for the carnivore diet that I can give right now as an example. So many of you that have been watching my channel know that last week I went to the Smoky Mountains for a family vacation. And my family goes to the Smoky Mountains, probably just about every year, but not every year, maybe 7 times in the last 10 years, 6, 7 times or so. This was the third year in a row we went to the Smoky Mountains. And every year we'll do a couple hikes, usually 2 to 3 hikes. And normally what happens is the easier hikes I'm able to do without a problem, or at least with, some resting. And then if there's a more moderate type hike, I don't get through the whole thing. Last year, an example, went about halfway on one particular hike, and I stopped at that point. The rest of the family went on and did the hike, right? So I stopped, I went back down and waited in the car for a couple hours while they finished the hike. This was before carnivore, or like, a week or two into carnivore last year. So I hadn't noticed the benefits yet really of a carnivore diet. And I struggled just like in past years on the hikes. My ankles would hurt, even my knees. And I was out of breath, out of shape. Obviously I had to lose weight and stuff too, but um, I just really struggled with the hikes. So this year, I had known in the past year I had lost 75 pounds. I knew that would help. And I knew that I felt better. I seemed to have more energy. And I figured that hikes would go better for me. But I had no idea just how much fun I would have with the hikes. First of all, this year we did 5 hikes. That's right, 5 hikes, the most hikes I have ever done in a week in the Smoky Mountains. 5 hikes. 3 of them were considered moderate. 2 of them were considered easy. Though I must say 2 of the 3 moderate ones, there were a lot of comments and reviews of people saying this is really, really difficult. And after doing those hikes, I can believe that, yeah, they probably should have been a little bit higher than moderate. They were really tough hikes. But I did all 5 hikes. I did not stop halfway on any of the hikes. And I got to tell you, the hike that we did on Saturday was a very difficult hike. It was only a total of 2 miles. It was a mile to the falls and to the waterfalls, and then it was like a mile back, but it was a very strenuous, at times very steep, a lot of roots, not a paved in any way. None of the hike was paved, so it wasn't paved surface, right? It was all, you know, very interesting, very rooty, very rocky, times where you were kind of climbing on rocks and so forth. And this particular hike, the whole family didn't go on. It was myself, my wife, and my daughter and her boyfriend. And about probably halfway or a little more than halfway through, my wife and daughter decided that they wanted to stop, but they said it was okay for my daughter's boyfriend and I to continue. And um, we were like, okay, just, this was a good spot. That there was a spot that was very rocky. So we were like, just wait here for us. We're going to go finish it up. And it was a little more than halfway there. So there was like maybe 4/10 of a mile to go to get to the waterfall. That last 4/10 of a mile, I did not stop at all, except for one time because it was so humid that I needed to clean my glasses because they were so watered up from sweat and so forth that I couldn't see properly. So we stopped once for like 5 seconds to do that. Outside of that, we went the entire 4/10 of a mile going up rocks and so forth. And for me, that was great because all week long we were stopping several times. My wife is similar to me in age, just a few years younger. She's not doing carnivore, and she'll admit that she's, not in the best shape, and she needs to rest a lot when we do hikes. So we were resting all week, several times going to do a hike. Still for me, that was doing the hike all the way through, especially a moderate hike, was better than I've ever done before. But, the fact of the matter is that we were stopping quite a bit. And we didn't stop at all the rest of the way up for this hike. I didn't need to stop, which showed to me that I am in a lot better shape and, just better energy and so forth than what I was a year ago. And really, I have not been able to hike like this probably since the first time my wife and I went to the Smoky Mountains. And that was when I was 24 years old. So that was 25 years ago. That's how long it's been since I've felt this good doing hiking. Didn't wear any wrist braces, any knee braces, any ankle braces, anything like that. Didn't have any problems with pain. And a couple of times I did sort of twist my ankle a little bit, but other than for a second or two, then it went away, right? And, it was great this last hike, like I talk about here already, that, we went the last 4/10 of a mile without stopping, basically. And then we got to the waterfalls, and it was great view and everything. And we were there 10, 15 minutes or so. And then we decided we were going to start the hike back to go back down to meet my wife and daughter. And we started a little bit, and then we found them starting to come, and they're like, hey, wait, stop. We decided to go, and we're finally getting here. So they did stop quite a bit, but they did make it up. So really proud of my wife and daughter that they were able to continue. They didn't want to give up. They just ended up going slower than we did, but they did end up making it up there. So then we went back up with them and got to do the whole scenery again. And there was a nice little swimming hole at the waterfall and everything, so that was pretty cool. And then we went back down, and again, going down is usually easier for people. For me, it can be a little bit harder because I'm a pretty big guy, and I always feel like I don't have the best balance, and I feel like I'm going to fall forward, so I'm always trying to slow myself down. But I did well going down again. It was very hot again, and I was very sweaty, but the energy level was there, and I didn't have any pain or anything. We went back down, and that was ended up being our last hike. That was the 5th hike of the trip. So, I did 5 hikes this time. And again, it went really, really well for me. Some of the other hikes that we did the very first hike that we did on Monday. That one, my wife was needing to stop a lot, so we stopped a lot. It was a pretty difficult hike. It was considered moderate, but it was considered moderately high. And that one did take us a few hours to do. I can't remember the exact mileage, but I want to say it was like around 4.5 miles or something like that. So that was a pretty big hike. And I was really excited that I finished that one because again, it had been since I was like 24 years old that I have been able to do a hike like that. By the time I was into my upper 20s, I was starting to gain weight and not doing as well. Didn't have the stamina that I used to have and all that kind of stuff. So this was really good for me. Now, I know people are going to say, well, you lost 75 pounds and that's why. But I'm telling you, it's not just the weight. I can still lose more weight where I'm at. I'm still a pretty big guy. I'm 300 pounds. Granted, I'm 6'4", but I'm still 300 pounds. And maybe the weight has a little bit to do with it. But I'm telling you, eating the way I do on the carnivore diet is just a huge part of it. My energy levels are so good. My stamina is so good. And you don't necessarily get that way just because you lost weight. I'm that way because of the diet I eat. I'm not eating any carbs, any processed foods, any sugar. I'm drinking water. I'm eating meat and animal fat, right? Good saturated fat that Other people will tell you it's not good for you, but everybody that does carnivore and eats saturated fat is getting healthier, not worse. It's the opposite of what people think is what's the standard out there, right? Is that you're not supposed to eat a lot of meat, you're not supposed to eat a lot of saturated fat. But we're finding that that is not the case. It's just the opposite. You get healthier when you do that stuff. When you eat a carnivore or a low carb diet, you get healthier. And I just can't believe the difference in just going to the Smoky Mountains in, doing hikes and so forth. The difference in my stamina, how I feel. A year ago, people told me you're going to go do that diet and you're going to get heart disease. You're going to have a heart attack and all that stuff. And just the opposite, I'm over here doing hikes I haven't been able to do in 25 years. So, that's one of the best examples I have for how society as a whole is wrong about the way we're supposed to be eating, and that the carnivore diet is the optimal diet for humans. So let me know in the comments what you think. If you're on a carnivore diet or another low carb diet, have you seen this kind of improvement in your stamina, energy levels? Have you done hikes and so forth and noticed that you can do so much more than you could in the past? And if you're not doing the carnivore diet, um, what is your experiences with doing things like hikes and that? If you're struggling and you're thinking about what you need to do health wise, then I really think you should at least look into the carnivore diet, because it is helping so many people get healthy. And I am a perfect example of that. I've gotten rid of all kinds of issues, including AFib, since going on carnivore. I have not had a single episode of AFib in over a year, and I used to get them all the time. So when people tell me that the carnivore diet is bad and it's going to make me unhealthy, I just don't see it, because I'm getting healthier. And, obviously I haven't been doing it very long. There are people out there that have been doing it longer. People will say, well, long-term it's going to cause a problem. I know there are people out there like Rick Rodriguez that's been doing it for 40 years. But, okay, if it's going to be something more long-term, let's just entertain that. Then, you're now at the situation of, well, what is better? A lifetime of pain and suffering, or having a good period of time where you feel great and can do whatever you want to do? I'm going to go with feeling great myself.